Better for you to rear up your devil, like a horse rearing up. Even for you there is still a way to greatness. So you're on a devil. Ride it. Says Nietzsche. My brothers, one knows a little too much about everybody, and we can even see through some men, and yet we can by no means pass through them. Now, by putting those together, I think he draws attention to they have no substance to them, but they are there. They are real. You can see right through some men. Even though they exist, and you would think that would make them nothing, they still in some way they are. That's the best I can do with it. It is difficult to live with people because it is so difficult to be silent. And not against him who is repugnant to us are we most unfair, but against him who is of no concern of ours. I don't know, I can't concretize that. Here's some odd advice, poetic advice. If a friend does you evil, say this: I forgive you what you did to me, but that you have done it to yourself, how can I forgive that? Thus speaks all great love. It overcomes even forgiveness and pity. Some people think the essence of love is forgiveness and pity. But he says great love overcomes forgiveness and pity. I won't forgive you because you did it to yourself, and I don't pity you. Or something like that. He tags pity on there, so let's... Okay, next paragraph. One ought to hold on to one's heart, for if one lets it go, one soon loses control of the head, too, also. Aha! So, keeping control of the heart, I assume with the head, is the best tact. Otherwise you'll lose your head. We skip a couple sentences. Woe to all who love without having a height that is above their pity. In other words, if your pity, the idea of pitying for you is more important than the idea of love, woe to you. Thus spoke the devil to me once. God too has his hell. That is his love of man. That's what's hell for God, is that he loves man. And most recently I heard him say this: God is dead. God died of his pity for man. That's what killed him. Now we know why Nietzsche says God is dead, because he pitied man so much, it killed him. Thus be warned of pity. From there a heavy cloud will yet come to man. Now, he wasn't foreseeing the future or anything, he's just being silly and poetic, but a heavy, heavy cloud came over man from pity, from communism, which is redistributing the wealth to the poorest, so that everybody is equally shabby and poor, is how it turns out. But they didn't think it was going to be that way, or they didn't hope something happened, and they took over Russia and China. That was a heavy cloud that came to man from pity. Be warned of pity. From there a heavy cloud will yet come to man. Verily I understand weather signs. And we have to leave that as a self-contained sentence. Verily I understand weather signs. Because the next sentence is crap and I cut it. Myself I sacrifice to my love, and my neighbor as myself. So whatever it is that I love, I'm going to sacrifice myself to it. And I'll sacrifice my neighbor to it too. Bring him over. This is my value. This is my love. Thus runs the speech of all creators. But all creators are hard. Thus spoke Zarathustra. On priests, once Zarathustra gave his disciples a sign and spoke these words to them: Here are priests, and though they are my enemies, pass by them silently and with sleeping swords. Among them, too, there are heroes. Many of them have suffered too much. Therefore they want to make others suffer. Now, I don't know if that's the same people as the heroes, the ones who want to make others suffer. They are evil enemies. Nothing is more vengeful than... What's the most vengeful thing about a priest? Nothing is more vengeful than their humility. That by being humble, they are getting back at the world in a very serious way, says Nietzsche. Whoever attacks them soils himself easily. Well, soils himself from the priests? I don't know. Yet my blood is related to theirs, and I want to know that my blood is honored even in theirs. Take that if you can. And when they had passed by, as that's the end of what Zarathustra says, and when they had passed by, pain seized Zarathustra, and he had not wrestled long with his pain when he began to speak thus. I am moved by compassion for these priests. That's odd. I mean, the priests are supposed to be the compassionate ones. He's moved by compassion for the priests. I also find them repulsive, but that matters least of all to me, since I have been among men. So I can handle a little repulsion. But I suffer and have suffered with them. Prisoners they are to me, and marked men. Okay. He whom they call Redeemer has put them in fetters. It's enslaved or shackled them, right? In fetters of false values and delusive words. That's Jesus. Would that someone would yet redeem them from their Redeemer. Another stab in Jesus' side. Once when the sea cast them about, they thought they were landing on an island, but behold, it was a sleeping monster. Okay. False values and delusive words. These are the worst monsters for mortals. You got that? Put this in your pocket for later. Maybe one of the 5 things in this book that's really worth holding on to. False values and delusive words are the worst monsters for mortals. Long does calamity sleep and wait in them. Okay? False values and delusive words will blow up in your face. I said it before and I'll say it again. If you want to do away with racism, what you're going to have to do is say race doesn't matter. Any form of saying that race is important is going to come back and bite you. It is racism. It does not matter to who you are. Now, as long as we go on saying that it does matter, we've got just that card of racism in people's pockets that they're going to lay on the table someday. False values and delusive words, long does calamity sleep in them, and it will wake. Or how about affirmative action? I've never been the victim of it. Well, I may have, I don't know. I might have interviewed for some jobs where they're like, now we've already got too many white guys. But eventually it comes out and wakes and eats and devours what built huts upon it. Behold these huts which the priests built. Churches they call their sweet-smelling caves. So the churches are just huts on the sleeping monster's back, and they are sweet-smelling caves. Oh, that falsified light, that musty air. Here the soul is not allowed to soar to its height. For thus their faith commands, crawl up the stairs on ye knees, sinners. Now, I don't know what he means by crawl on your knees. Do you actually have to go up some stairs on your knees at some place or something? Or is he just referring to prayer? And he's saying that when you kneel down, how exalted can you be? Prayer is the opposite of exaltation. And try to go upstairs, try to climb to greater heights on your knees and see. So I think he might just be attacking prayer there, which is a beautiful attack. Verily, rather would I see even the shameless than the contorted eyes of their shame and devotion. Who created for themselves such caves and stairways of repentance? Was it not such as wanted to hide themselves and were ashamed before the pure sky? That's why I put that whole paragraph therein. Such as were ashamed before the pure sky. It's a nice poetic phrase, and as long as I can drop on this addendum that the sky is empty, there's no God up there, there's nobody up there, don't be ashamed in front of the pure sky, which is empty. Take that and write a poem, you know. Let me skip a paragraph. They have called God what was contrary to them, and gave them pain. And verily there was much of the heroic in their adoration.